Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about using clarifiers in a reading and whether you should use clarifiers. So before I get into it, just a quick intro. Valentine Lister. This is my channel, and on this channel I teach about tarot, I teach about astrology, spiritual practices that I think you need to know about. I'm a professional astrologer and tarot card reader, and if you want to know more about me and how to book a reading, you can go to my website, valentinelister.com. So first of all, what are clarifiers? So especially if you're a new reader, you're going to notice that you're going to pull some cards for somebody or yourself, and the first thing you think is, oh crap, what does this mean, right? Because you're not having confidence as a reader yet. You're not picking up, you may be picking up stuff, but you're thinking that it needs to be bigger than it is, or you need to be more insightful than you're being, or just even where do you start? Because you're getting so much information, and a lot of times you pull the cards and your mind goes completely blank, right? And so one thing that you can do as you're reading the cards, well, first of all, you just want to try to read the card in the first place. Clear your mind, relax, see what you're getting from the card. But if you get stuck, if your mind draws a blank at any point in the reading, you can always pull another card to give you more information about, what you were reading about. And it can be helpful. However, there are some problems with this. So as a reader, pulling more cards does not always make the reading more clear. And when you're a beginning reader, I found when I was a beginning reader, the more cards you keep pulling to clarify, the more confused you're going to get. So this goes into whether you should use clarifiers or not. And so my personal opinion from my experience is use it as a last resort. Okay, that's one of the scenarios. I'm going to bring up another scenario where you should use it in a sec. My recommendation is to just sit with that one card for a while, take your time, and just start talking about what you're picking up from that one card, right? And start trusting yourself that what you're picking up is actually going to hit on something that's true. Now, there are two recommendations I have for getting more confidence in what cards mean. So first of all, I have a video on how to create a tarot journal, and I recommend that. I recommend pulling a card for the day, just one card, so that you can get to know that card really intimately, and write notes, create a journal about what happens that day, what actually happens, right? So that you get a lived experience of what that card means. It's not just you reading a book. It's not just you getting a stereotype of what you think the card means. It means you go out, you live your life, and then you look at that card and you go, oh, that's what it means in actual experience. So then when you read for people, you're going to actually tell them something that actually means something that would be realistic towards their life. It's not just head in the clouds. You're going to go through a spiritual awakening type reading that we all go to. And of course, we're going through awakenings. I'm not downplaying that, but I think there is a real need to talk about the practical everyday lived experiences for yourself and for the people that you're reading for, so that it really connects with them. My other recommendation is to either, when you start to read, and you can start just reading for yourself or for your friends, just start talking out loud about what you're seeing, what you're feeling with your five senses. So a lot of the times we think we're not picking up on anything, right? But if we really tune in to our energy, we might actually, when we pull the cards, feel a sense of anxiety, or feel scattered, or we may feel a blank, or we may feel really excited. More times than not, whatever we start feeling when we pull the cards, if we're pulling it for somebody, we're picking up on their energy. We're picking up on something going on. So just you can actually start talking about what you're feeling in your body. So what you're feeling emotionally, any sensations in your body, any songs that might come to your head, or words that just pop into your head, as you pull the card. Anything like that might actually be relevant to the reading and not just your insecurity. And that was something when I realized that I went, oh, okay. And then it actually helped me start giving better readings. And you'll be surprised, like when you start reading for people, that you're going to pick up on things and it's going to be crazy. And a lot of times people don't tell you right away that you like actually told them something that you didn't, like they were not expecting you to really know about them. But it's shocking to people. So usually they don't share that with you right away. They'll be like, they'll kind of get still and quiet. But then they might come to you later on and be like, oh my God, that reading was so good and you're so gifted and you're so talented. So a lot of times that actually happens. So trust yourself. If you're called to this, if you're called to read, you most likely have a gift for reading. And also you can, I guess there's three tips too. Also, writing down like what you're getting, especially like if you're just pulling a card for the day, or even if you have a friend like who's like, can you read for me? You might want to just say like, give me a few minutes and just write notes, like if they're really close to you and they just want to help you out and you're reading for them. But if you're in a space where you're reading for yourself, someone really close, you can actually just write notes about like what you're getting and then read that out if that's something that could be helpful for you. And so I do have a video on like both how to read your cards right away and also psychic development, which I think would be helpful for you to start trusting your senses on reading the cards. So I will put those videos at the very end when I put like the cards, and I'll also put those videos in the description box below. Okay, so now that you've sat with one card, you've really gotten all of the information from it. It's like, okay, but should I use clarifiers? So yeah, there are some times where you'd want to use a clarifier. So I think the biggest, like, the most important way to use a clarifier is if, for example, if you have a spread that doesn't have a card for the question that you want answered. So say, for example, I pull a like past, present, future spread, and I'm getting all the information from that. But then either I want to know or the person wants to know, well, what should I do? Like, what's some advice? Maybe you want to pull a fourth card that's for advice, right? And to just get more, because you didn't pull a card for that. So if there's like a question or something that you want to add to a spread, you can always modify your spreads to like pull a card to ask that specifically. But I would actually figure out first before you pull the card what you're pulling the card for, so that you know like what that card is actually answering for you. Otherwise, there's room for confusion of like, well, which does this mean, right? For that. I don't feel like pulling clarifiers is a crutch per se, but I do think it's going to confuse you as a beginning reader. And I think sticking with the cards that are in a spread in the beginning can help you gain more confidence, and getting to know one deck very specifically, very in depth, is going to be helpful to you before you start getting a million oracle cards, getting a million tarot decks. Start with one deck, get to know it very intimately, very well. You're going to have a long relationship with this deck. And sticking with fewer cards can help build your confidence. So you'll notice when I do my weekly readings and when I read for people, I rarely pull clarifiers, just because I like, because I get a lot from the cards, and I find like sometimes I will take a minute and I'll pause. Like you'll see me in my weekly readings sometimes and I'll just pause and take a moment. Don't be afraid to pause in the reading and just say, hey, let me see what I'm getting, and just take a moment with the card and give yourself some time. A lot of times we feel in a reading like so rushed to like give somebody an answer right away and that we should know the answer right away. But we also have to have respect for the gift and for divination and for channeling a message. And it's a special time. It takes energy. And the important thing is that we're giving an accurate message. So if we need a moment to reflect on the card, take a moment to meditate on the card in the reading, and let the person know, like, we're connecting with our gift right now. We want to give an accurate reading. So we want to just clear our mind, clear space, and just take in that card with all of our senses so that we can relay the message and really understand it. So long story short, I would recommend using clarifiers as a very last resort. I think just read from the cards that you have, like for whatever spread you're pulling. Sometimes it's a free flowing spread, but I would still go with fewer cards over more cards first. Read those cards first, read them as fully as you can. And then if you really don't know, if you really want to pull another card to get more information, go ahead. And I also recommend just experimenting as well. That's my other piece of advice. Just experiment, see what works for you the most. Some people just keep pulling cards as they're channeling, and they will pull lots of cards and they prefer to read that way. They're more comfortable with that. Some people use specific spreads. Some people use just a very open spread and they'll just channel exactly what they're getting. So don't be afraid to experiment, try things out, make mistakes. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid, like don't be afraid to just put yourself out there. Don't be afraid that you're going to give a bad reading. Most of the time you're going to give a pretty decent reading. But even if you don't, you're going to get better through experience and actually doing it. And then you'll figure out what works for you and you're going to rock it. All right, guys, that's all I have for you for this video. Hope you enjoyed the advice. And if you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified, share it out if you think it's going to help, share the wealth. And I love you guys so much. See you soon. If you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified for whenever I release a new video every single week.